Hey Bookaholics, and welcome back to another reading vlog. I have been doing a series of reading vlogs where I am going through some very popular, well-loved YA books that I have been interested in reading, but I have had a complicated relationship with YA in the last few years, and I have been trying to figure out if it's worth reading more YA for me, if there are still YAs that, if it sounds good to me, I should be bothering to pick up. Now, this is the third of these vlogs that I've done out of the four. I'm doing 4 in total, and this one is very much going to be based on an author that I've previously liked. So the first one was whether or not I would like the books. The second one was whether or not I could trust the hype of a book. This one is reading a series by an author that I have read before that I really anticipated the sequels of and then never got round to. So that is, of course, you'll have seen by the title and the thumbnail, the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber. This is a sequel / companion series to the Caraval series, which I did read and really love back in the day. So I am excited to see how I fare with these. I know that we are following a character that I really did enjoy. I think in the previous one, I think the male romantic lead is someone that I potentially will like. I'm excited to see how we're going to fare with it. I also have these lovely full pink covers. I know that the new covers are, each one's a different color. These are all in pink, but what I love is that we get these kind of like almost illustrated end papers, which you just don't really get a lot in paperback. So I'm easily pleased. I'm really, really excited to get to these. I think one of the things I'm excited about is that Caraval is one of the last YA series that I really got into, that I really, really liked. And then I kind of got into my YA slump. I am figuring out how to engage with YA. I have realized that the more topical and thematically heavy YA doesn't work for me because I spend the entire time that I'm reading it wishing that it was adult instead of YA. But with the more fun ones, the ones that are just going to be a light, easy read that I'm going to have a really good time with, that I'm hoping will be really pacey and addictive, which is exactly what I'm expecting of this one, and the themes to be in the background, and they could still be very prevalent, but they are not the focal point of the entire narrative. Those are the ones that I tend to enjoy within YA, and that is what I'm looking for in this one. This one is a spoiler vlog, so do bear that in mind. But then on top of that, of course, these books spoil Caraval. So if you've not read Caraval and you don't want to get spoiled for it, or if you have not read this one and you don't want to get spoiled for it, then this vlog isn't for you. This is a spoiler reading vlog, and at the end I will kind of go through how I am relating to YA by authors that I have read in the past. The books, or at least the first one, because obviously I don't want to really flick through the other ones. First one is in parts, so I will read to the end of each part and then I will do a check-in and we'll go over my thoughts, we'll go over the spoilers and what has happened, and we'll see how I fare with it. But yeah, I love these covers. I love the colours. I am super excited to get to these. These are probably the ones that I was most excited for this vlog project, so hopefully they pull through for me. Hey vlog, I'm checking in because I have now read the first part of Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's not very long, it's only 77 pages long, but I am really loving being back in this world. That is the main thing for me with Caraval. Like, I don't think that the story is hugely unique, but the world building is what really got it going for me. And I'm feeling similarly about this one. I'm just loving being in the world. Our protagonist, I think, is going to be quite an interesting one to follow. She is a young woman whose father has recently passed away, and now she's living with her stepmother. She has a stepsister. She gets on well with the stepsister though, but her lover, the guy that she's in love with, is suddenly not talking to her and betrothed to her stepsister. And she believes that it is because her stepmother has kind of cursed him. And then she goes to the Prince of Hearts, who is a character that we see in the original Caraval trilogy. And we see him basically help her. And his help comes in the form of him turning everyone at her sister's wedding to stone in exchange for 3 kisses of his choosing whenever he chooses. And she agrees because she doesn't want the love of her life to marry her sister, especially if he's cursed to do so. So she then goes to this wedding and everyone gets turned to stone. She then instead drinks a poison that will turn her to stone to undo the fact that other people got turned to stone. 6 weeks later, she gets awoken by the poisoner, who is another one of the fates from these fate cards, like the Prince of Hearts. And she then is kind of hailed as a hero. Her stepmother has sold her father's curiosity shop. And also during that time, her lover, Look, had once again attempted to marry her stepsister and then got mauled by a wolf. So that's what we've seen happen so far. Since then, the Empress, which is Scarlet from the original Caraval series, and her sister Donatella have both now summoned our protagonist Evangeline to go and chat with them. And basically they are supposed to attend a ball in the northern countries. However, with everything being rather politically unstable and they've only just received their crowns. So we see Scarlet and Donatella instead deciding to send Evangeline as their representative, their ambassador in the northern countries. Now she's going to go up to the northern countries and attend this ball on behalf of the sisters. She initially didn't want to do that because she was worried that she would run into Jacques, the Prince of Hearts, because it is known that he is currently in the northern countries. Otherwise, she's just kind of left living with her stepmother, who's not very nice. So I am really excited to get into this and see how I'm going to fare with I assume the bulk of it. I think the next part is quite long. So it starts on page 81 and ends on page 253. So nearly 200 pages for the next chunk. So it'll be quite a lengthy update, I think, for the next one. But I'm really excited to get into it, especially because I think that this is where we're really going to be able to see Evangeline come into her own. I hope that Look isn't cursed. I think he is, but I hope he's not. I hope he's a fuckboy. I hope that he literally has been playing her the whole time and actually just genuinely wants to marry her sister. I don't think that's the case, but it'd be quite interesting to see. However, it's a fantasy romance. I think it's safe to say that the assumption is going to be that Evangeline is going to fall in love with Jacques, because Jacques was he was the one that didn't get chosen as a love interest, as like a third wheel in a triangle. Therefore, I feel like this is him getting his story. So hopefully I will enjoy the progress of that. I don't know if they're going to get together in this book or if we're going to take the whole trilogy for that to materialize. I don't know, but I am excited to continue. So that's exactly what I'm going to go do. So once I have finished part 2, I will check back in and give you some more thoughts. Hey vlog, I'm checking back in because I have now finished the second part of Once Upon a Broken Heart. So we had a wedding, we started the killing, shout out to Avenged Sevenfold fans. I'm really enjoying this. It's not reinventing the wheel. I feel like we know at least where the series is gonna end, you know? But we take our time getting there and that's fine. I'm enjoying the dynamic between Evangeline and Jacques because it is doing a really good job of building the tension with neither of them acquiescing yet, which is what we want. We don't want one of them to be more mopish than the other this early on in the series, especially because I think it's one romance for the whole trilogy. We might, I guess, get something of Marisol, but she seems very background character at the minute, which makes me very suspicious of her. I'm not going to lie, I'm very suspicious of Marisol. So we'll see how that goes. I'm enjoying this. I'm really liking the moral quandaries that our protagonist keeps finding herself in, like what is actually better for other people versus what is the right thing to do versus what would benefit her. Like she constantly has to weigh all of those things. things up, and I think it's done really well. I'm really liking that element. At the end of this part, she's married to Apollo. So he was under a spell and now she's married to him. And that has been interesting as well. Like seeing her fall for him, like the idea of him and then not want to let go, but also like knowing that that's not what real love is. And getting what you want doesn't mean that it will make you happy in this case. I thought that was really cool. When Apollo came to as well, the fact he didn't rage, he just was sad because it was kind of like heartache, like a breakup. That was really intense. Like I really liked that because I was expecting him to like fly off the handle like a typical dude bro, you know, and he didn't. And that was something. I will say that was something that was not what I was expecting. I did like that. So far, so good. I'm having a good time with this. I love the world building in here. I really do. I love this whole world, the Caraval world, and now we've got the Magnificent North. All of this world is just so cool. Like I could read 5 more series in this world just for the world because other places are mentioned, right? So she could come back here. I'm just saying she could come back here and I'd eat it up. Because I love the way she makes these worlds. They're so cool. So that's a thing that happened. We also had where it's revealed that, so basically she got Apollo to love her. She thought she got Apollo to fall in love with her. And she thought that it was because Jacques was giving her this ability to like, when she kissed someone, they'd do her bidding. And he showed that through her also having to like kiss the cheek of the grandmother of one of her rivals so that they could see into her vault and all of those things. So she believed it was her. So she'd carry the guilt of it. And then it's later revealed that her kisses don't do anything. He's just doing it for his own amusement, and so that it can be traced back to her instead of him, which was cool because like it's his magic that's doing the manipulating, which was very cool. So yeah, having a really good time. I'm curious to see. I'm assuming there is a lot more to Evangeline than we know, especially because she's got this rose gold hair, which is so cool. I would love to have rose gold hair, especially because it's like shiny. You know, it's not she's got pink hair, she's got rose gold hair. I want rose gold hair. Not that it would suit me, it would wash me out, but that's not the point. Right? Okay. I'm just saying would be stunning. Is this like the best book I've ever read? No. Is this like a 5-star read? No. Is it delivering on the things I wanted to deliver on? Hell yeah. We had a decent part. It was a long part, but also like moving pieces around so far. So I've got another 100 and something pages. I'm on page 257 out of 403. 150 odd pages, right? I think this is going to be a good time. I mean, again, this is one that stretches out over the whole series. So we'll see how I fare, like whether by the end of it, it feels a little bit tired. Because obviously in Caraval, we had 2 protagonists. We had both Scarlet and Donatella. It wasn't just one romance for 3 books. So I'm hoping that we get more of Marisol. I'm suspicious of Marisol. I'm not going to lie. Marisol's like too nice compared to her mum. Now that might just be me having read too much YA and she might just be a sweetheart, but I don't trust it. I don't know why I don't trust it. I don't trust that Marisol didn't know that Evangeline was in love with Luke. Like she's kind of acting like, oh, she was in love with Luke and she had no say on him choosing her over Evangeline. I don't buy it. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm suspicious of her. I have no reason to be suspicious of her, but I am suspicious of her. But that might just be because of the trope, and that might be what the author's trying to do, make us suspicious of her, and then it be that she's a sweetheart, because we've had a couple seconds where Evangeline's been suspicious of her as well. So it might be that the author is trying to trick us, but I don't know. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to continuing, so I'm going to go do that. I'm going to stop here, and then I will let you know when I have finished the book. Hey vlog, I'm checking in because I have in fact finished Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I thought it was time that I check in. I guess mixed feelings on the way this one ended. We do have a lot of high tension coming in at the end here. We have a lot of discussions around, I suppose, how easy it was for everything to be set against Evangeline. Almost like a woman being at the forefront makes her such an easy target. I think that the way that this ended between Evangeline and Jacques really frustrated me, because on the one hand, I get it. We're showing that Jacques is a manipulative piece of shit who will do anything that he can to get his his way, and we're still figuring out exactly the extent of what he's planning on doing, but that he was more than happy to have Evangeline thrown under the bus so that she would work with him so that he could accomplish his goals. And I think that was well depicted. The problem is that it was very much, the ending came to a point where it was, he did these things and therefore I hate him, I never want to interact with him again. So all the romantic, pseudo-romantic subtext and tension that we'd been creating throughout this whole book kind of meant nothing because it got dissolved. Now granted, it means that those feelings can get easily reignited in the sequel, but I kind of would have liked it if in Pride and Prejudice, which is my blueprint for perfect romance, by the way, so you know, I'm going to make that comparison here and I'll explain. In Pride and Prejudice, we have halfway through the book, we have Darcy's first proposal, where he proposes in the most ridiculous and abysmal way anyone has ever been proposed to before. He insults her entire family, tells her that he doesn't want to love her, but that he wants to marry her. It is absolutely pathetic and ridiculous, and that is the point. But the reader doesn't come away from it hating Darcy so much as being baffled, confused. What the fuck is up with this man, right? And I say this based on like the first time, because you know that Darcy's the love interest, right? You are confused about why this man is behaving the way that he is. You don't come away outright hating him. Even Elizabeth, once he gives his explanations, once he explains why he proposed the way he did, what his relationship with Wickham is, which has been at that point a leading cause for why we dislike him, and why he separated Bingley and Jane, which is also something that we hate him for. Once he explains his reasoning, you still think of him as insufferable. It explains a lot. Now with Jacques, we have every opportunity to do so. If you've read Caraval, you know what he was trying to accomplish with Donatello, right? So you can understand to an extent why he's behaving the way that he is. He is desperate to break this curse and he will do anything to do so. So I think for me, one of the problems that I have here is that you've left with Evangeline completely despising this man and therefore eroding that romantic tension. But we had every opportunity for it to be like, yes, girl, you tell him to fuck off. But at the same time, you understand why there might be lingering feelings, why her marriage to Apollo might feel even more hollow and shallow, right? There was so much opportunity for this to have that double-edged sword, right? I hate this man, I don't want to marry this man, but I'm married to another man and I don't really love him either and I tricked him into being married to me. I think that tension could have been handled better. And I know that Stephanie Garber is capable of it because I found the tension throughout all of Caraval to be really addictive. But I will say I loved the characterizations in here and I loved the level of nuance that we have between characters. I did kind of predict Marisol being sketchy. The level of sketchy, possibly not. So she has it where she is trying to marry Tiberius. She is trying to marry Apollo's brother so that she can become queen now that Apollo is in a coma. So that's going to be interesting in how it pans out in the second one. I would have liked, because we had a moment of almost like sisterly camaraderie, because we think for a second there that actually it's Marisol that's been behind the whole thing. It's not Marisol that's been behind the whole thing. It is Jacques, but Marisol is now really pissed. And that has been interesting. Like that layer upon layer, that was really good. Everything that involved Marisol was really good. And I love the way that Stephanie Garber tackles women on a whole. Like I think that she writes women well, actually. You know, a lot of YA, even when they're written by women, sometimes it's questionable how they're handled, you know? I didn't find that with this one. I really did enjoy Marisol. Do I love the evil stepsister trope? No. Do I think that the nuance in here, that she was like evil but not to the level of evil that you would expect, I suppose? I thought that was great. You know, I really did appreciate that. What she was and wasn't behind was very cool. So I did really enjoy this. I've given it 4 stars. It's just scraped a 4-star on Corepal. I think if any of the criteria were 1 point less, it would have gotten 3.5. But I'm happy with that. That feels comfortable. So, excellent end to the first book. I have, however, been a very busy bee because my kids are home, which means that filming is limited. So instead of stopping reading entirely, just so that I could wait for an update, I did continue reading. So I am now also one part into book 2. I will say that I am finding this push and this exaggerated push and pull from Evangeline and Jax a little bit annoying, because I would like to go back to where we were in book 1. I really liked the way that they were behaving with each other in book 1, and the fact we've lost that is annoying. However, it's understandable. I understand where it comes from and I understand why that's a thing. Evangeline not trusting Jax but then also getting roped into things is also very typically YA, I suppose, and it does remove a little bit of her agency, which isn't ideal, but I also I'm okay with it because I quite like the way that conversations are had around that sometimes. The way that we will see even women who are doing everything right doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to go well for you. And those are important messages, I think, for teenagers. That doing everything right doesn't necessarily mean that everything will go right for you, which I also very much appreciated. So I am really enjoying a lot of the way that we are discussing Evangeline as a character and the hardships that she's going through and the way she tackles them and her mindset as she does so. So as long as we get back on track with Jax and Evangeline, I think I'll be fine now that they have begun interacting again. I'm hoping that this time the hate kind of fizzles out quicker. Not that Jax doesn't deserve it either. Like, don't get me wrong. But again, I think I know Jax from Caraval, which Evangeline doesn't. So that's like an interesting dynamic as well. I warm to Jax a little bit more because I've known him longer than Evangeline has, which is so bizarre as a reader to experience. But yeah, like I don't have a huge amount to say really on this first part. I'm really enjoying the way that Evangeline is feeling about Apollo as well, because this book is not a love triangle. It's very easy to kind of feel like it might be. It has all the trappings of a love triangle, but it's not. And I like that. I like that it's twisting that narrative. At the minute, Evangeline couldn't give a fuck about either of them, which is my favorite type of love triangle. We have a similar situation in The Hunger Games, in my opinion. I know that the movies make it look very much like a love triangle. It's not. I find throughout most of the books, Katniss is like, could you not? You know? And I kind of feel the same way about Evangeline. She's like, she's married to a guy she does not want to be married to. She is constantly in the thrall of a guy that she knows is not trustworthy. She was in love with another guy who also treated her badly. You have all of these situations going on where she's just done with men, and I completely agree. So I really like the way that that's also manifesting in here. So yeah, I'm going to go continue. As I said, we have Evangeline and Jax working together again, which is not something that she wants to be doing, but she needs to help Apollo. So we'll see how that pans out. And we'll see if Apollo is even worth the fucking effort, because who knows? But she needs him so she can clear her name, mostly, more than anything. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to continue. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I will check back in once I have read part 2, which seems to be another chunk of it. And then we have part 3, which I'm assuming is falling action. So we'll see how I fare with this final part. I'll check back in a bit. Hey vlog, I'm here to check in because I have in fact finished part 2 of The Ballad of Never After, and I have been having a really good time with this part. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of when romances get eked out over a prolonged period of time, so I could do with it them not having this will they won't they for as long as they are, especially because I know there's a whole other book to come. But I'm really liking, so we've got the hunt element going on at this part. We've got where the Archer's curse has been placed on Apollo. So Apollo awoke, but now he is hunting Evangeline. You've got the fox and the archer, and he is consistently hunting Evangeline. And Jax is saving her. So they're spending an awful lot of time together. And in the meantime, they're trying to find the stones. So they've been hunting for these stones so that he can potentially open the Valerie Arch, which we're not 100% sure, I don't think, on why yet. But yeah, I really did like the way that these characters are interacting with each other. I have had a lot of fun with seeing the way that this plays out in terms of the romantic tension. We had like a moment where under the impression that he is kind of being influenced by something and that's why he is acting attracted to her. We kind of, I think, get the feeling that it's not that, but you can understand why she would think that way. And then at the same time, you have where he is clearly starting to doubt some of his choices, but she is married to Apollo. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to pan out, because I feel like divorce doesn't really happen in books like this. So I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out and then what that could mean for the third and final one. But so far, I'm having a decent enough time. I mean, I wish I had more patience for this book. I wish that I was still in my YA era where this being a 3-book long series for the inevitable to happen, to not feel like, why are we taking 3 books to do this? Especially because of all of the machinations and reasons that are tearing them apart. That being said, the world building in these books is still impeccable. I absolutely love the way the world building in these books work. I just think that it's done in a way that it feels so whimsical and so fantastical, and at the same time it feels very real. It feels like you could go to these places, and I love that combo. Looking forward to continuing on. I really don't have very much left, so I might just go read this now and then check back in, because there's next to nothing left, and we'll see how I fare with the ending. So I finished The Ballad of Never After. I am not happy. There is a trope in this last part that I despise, absolutely despise. And I am very, very concerned about where that is going to leave book 3. This was going to be a 3.5 star read. I was going to see if it felt more like a 4 or more like a 3. Now it's not even a 3.5. It's literally a 3 star. And that's generous, because I hate this trope at the ending. Now it could be handled well. It's not that I don't trust Stephanie Garber. She's never led me astray with Caraval so far. And while I'm not loving this series as much as Caraval, and I don't know how much of that is just because of who I am as a reader now versus just me not enjoying this one as much, because in the previous one we had the 2 sisters as opposed to just the one protagonist that we're following. But I am not happy with how this book ended, because we have the amnesia trope. I keep forgetting that this is a spoiler vlog and being like, oh, I need to hint at things. No, we have the amnesia trope. So we had Apollo. So we had this whole moment where Jacques decides, instead of sacrificing his feelings for Evangeline, instead of doing that, instead of going back to Donatella, he uses his stones to save Evangeline's life, thus therefore making it so he cannot go back in time and cannot try and make Donatella fall in love with him. And then Apollo does a weird thing, erases all of her memories because he's jealous. I don't get it, because I've never really bought into Apollo and Evangeline, because why would I? They're not really a couple. Like, they're in a relationship under all the worst pretexts. But yeah, like, I don't know. I am not happy. Also, we've got Honora now being able to influence potentially Apollo. I have concerns about book 3, because I feel like book 3, at least like the first part, I don't know how many parts book 3 is in actually, let's go see. Part 4, so this is direct continuation from book 2, which they didn't do in book 2, so that's kind of weird in a way. From the look of it, we've got multiple perspectives. It doesn't look like this one's in parts. I'm confused. I'll have a double check later. We're going to spend, I feel like, at least the first third, if not the first half of this book, literally just going back over it again, but this time it's Jacques making the effort instead of Evangeline. I'm not happy. I'm not happy about it at all, because I've got to reread them falling in love again. Oh my god, this is the 3rd time, people. We've got them like the tenuous, we kind of are starting to feel things for each other, let's back it off, and then he betrays her, and then we spend the next book, actually no, I think we're in love with each other, and now she's forgotten everything, and we're going to spend the 3rd book like, actually no, we're in love with each other. Anyway, I'm not happy. So we'll see how I fare with the 3rd and final one. But I feel like this is not going to be a favourite series. And again, I trust Stephanie Garber to get me there, but it doesn't make me any less annoyed that this is a thing that we're doing. So I'm sure the ending's going to be great, but fucking hell is it going to be annoying to get there. Alright, vlog, I'm checking in because I am now on page 126 of A Curse for True Love. And I thought it would be a good time to check in because I'm about a third of the way through the book. I did divide up the book so I could see when check-ins would be, because this is all one part. It says part 4, but there is no parts in this book. So we're working with what we're working with. I'm not enjoying the first part of this book. I know it's going to get better. I know. I'll trust the process, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. It's just annoying and frustrating, and I just want to throw people. I'm not going to lie. Apollo is driving me crazy with his pretend love and concern that he has for Evangeline and this obsession that he has with her and her not remembering anything. We've just survived an assassination attempt. Someone wants to assassinate Evangeline and make it slow and painful. I just wish that we didn't have this long of a chunk with the fucking amnesia trope. I really want Evangeline to not be under the thrall of Apollo at this point. But we've got 2/3 left. I assume it won't be very long until we get some kind of something moving along, and hopefully Evangeline is able to remember Jacques soon. This one could make or break the series for me. This could either be like, yeah, okay, no, it was kind of worth it. It's a trope I dislike, but it was worth it, or it's not, and I'm just gonna hate the whole series. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see how I fare with the final third. I know these updates have been getting shorter and shorter. It's not even because, obviously, because I'm seeing spoilers, but because I'm feeling frustrated, nothing is really sticking out to me because I'm just like, could we not? And that's kind of all I'm doing. And that's not ideal, really, is it? So hopefully, once we get over the frustrating bit of the amnesia, I can get back into enjoying this and have more to say again. I have a problem. I hate that I'm kind of liking this. I'm kind of liking it. And it frustrates me. It frustrates me that I like it. I know. But it does. So Evangeline, fuck. I need to go further back. I need to kind of talk about part 1 for a second because I literally skimmed over that because I was annoyed. So Evangeline was being taught defense by Jacques, who's calling himself Archer, and then she recognizes that Jacques is Jacques, and then she's like, oh, he's a murderous evil bastard because she can't remember him. And then she goes to go tell Apollo, and then she kind of doesn't, and she doesn't trust Jacques, and then she shows up, sees Jacques, doesn't trust him, but he saves her, manages to take her to this inn. And then we have had like this whole conflict happen where Jacques has potentially been attacked and she's been unconscious, but she wakes up and she's like cuffed and she sees like blood everywhere, including a bit of Jacques's golden blood. Like she knows it's golden and therefore it's his. She knows it's a vampire, but she doesn't want anything to happen to Luke, who she thinks is who Apollo is going to go after, because it gives him an excuse to go after both Jacques and Luke, who are people that she cares about now that she started to regain her memories. And she also now has started to regain her memories, so now she hates Apollo, but she's going to have to go back with Apollo and pretend everything is well so that she can protect Jacques and Look, I think this is great. I am having a great time with this. I guess because now we've removed the amnesia trope, I'm fine. But also just Jacques being Jacques, like, because he's such a messy character. He's such an asshole. Like, he does not deserve a happy ending in a way. But also he does. Like, I just want him to have his happy ending. And it's making me question all my morals and all my values because, ew. But also, you know, I'm like that mean. That's me at the minute with Jacques. And I felt the same way during Caraval. I felt exactly the same way. It's so frustrating. Like, let me hate the man. But I don't. I love him. And I fucking hate that I love him. So I am just going through the motions at the moment. I'm just going through it. Anyway, but I am enjoying Jacques. I shouldn't be, but I am. But it does mean that I am absolutely desperate to go get through this final part. I think this is one of the ones that has alternate endings. Do I have alternate endings? Or do I just have one ending? I think I only have one ending. So I might need to look up the alternate endings to see what ending I would like the most. It's one of those where it's like, if you get this exclusive edition and pay more money, then you can have a different ending. And if you pay this exclusive edition, and I'm like, no, fuck that. Absolutely not. No, no, no. I hate when they do that. Exclusive short stories, if it's like an exclusive like bonus chapter, if it doesn't affect the series, I'm fine with it. Or if it's one of those where it's you'll get it earlier. I know a lot of Sarah J. Maas ones is like you eventually will be able to read them on her webpage. It's just that you'll get them sooner. But I read her paperbacks. So all of the possible alternate whatevers are all available to me by the time I get to the physical book, like the actual main book, because she normally has like whether it's a year of exclusivity and then it goes on her webpage. So I am fine with that as well. But the ones where it's like you have to buy this special edition to get this ending and it matters because XYZ, no, absolutely not. The same with this one. Like I don't care, I'll just read them digitally later on. But I would be interested to see which ending I've got and whether or not I like it. So we'll see how I fare with the last third of the series and whether or not I think that these books are as good as Caraval, because at the moment I just want to throttle people. So we'll see. We'll see how my baby asshole Jax ends up. All right, vlog. I did it. I finished it. Now I need you to listen to me carefully. I need you to listen to me because you're going to hear some gushing. Okay? So if you normally trust my taste in reading, don't take this into account. This is not a book that aligns with my usual reading tastes. Nothing about this should work for me. And if you normally like books I like, I cannot guarantee you will like this. In any case, statistically, you will dislike this. Okay? Just bear that in mind. Before you hear me having a good time with this book, bear that in mind. Okay, please. Let's talk about it. So I finished A Curse for True Love. I had a great time with the ending. I really liked the ending. Boy, did I hate the first third of this. I wanted to rip this book to shreds in the first third of this book. And then the middle got better and we got them back together, and then the tension and the anxiety, and then the last third just made it all worthwhile. I'm not gonna lie, the last third was great. Like for all the wrong reasons. Just for all of the typical fantasy romance reasons that you would normally get. All the swoon-worthy moments that they're forcibly dragged apart and he comes trying to save her desperately and all of that, and it was fantastic. It was so melodramatic. I had an amazing time. I can't complain. Like I knew what I signed up for when I got into these books, and then when we got the amnesia trope happen at the end of this one, I thought this was going to be like a 1-star read. And you know what? That first part, 2 stars at best. But that last part, like a solid 4. Like I said, they've both got 3 stars. These two have got 3 stars. Actually, I think they've all got 3 stars. They've all got 3-star rating, which is great. I just had a fun, easy, brainless time. I am hormonal, which matters when reading this. I had a magnificent time. I liked the romance. I vibed with the romance. The thing is, like I said in the previous update, 1, I should not like Jax. I shouldn't like this book. It's got an amnesia trope and it's got like a relatively problematic male lead. I should not like Jax, but I do. The thing is, with these, I feel like a teenager again. They bring me back to just when it was all hormones and no neurons, you know? That's what these books are. They are all hormones, no neurons. That's exactly what they give me. This is what I wanted from the One Dark Window books. Spoilers for that vlog, I suppose. I wanted more angst. Either more world building or more angst, but I just kind of got a whole lot of neither. This is exactly what I got from Belladonna, although I'd say Belladonna's more ethereal. I'd say Belladonna's still my favourite of the 3 I've read so far. I have 1 more to go, which will be coming, if everything goes according to plan, should be coming next month. I had a great time with this though. But like even on the back, it says 2 villains, 1 girl. Because both Apollo and Jax are villains. They are, they're both villains. But just you like Jax. That's the only difference. And the way it ended in, I think one of the endings, was it this one or was it one of the ones I read online? It's been a couple of days. I think it's one of the additional endings that I read is where our protagonist is trying to potentially see if someone would release Apollo. So she's not going to release him from the tree. He got absorbed into the tree. He tried to sacrifice Evangeline, and then in the end he got absorbed into the tree instead because he loved himself more than he loved her. So he thought she was the one he loved the most, but he actually loved himself the most. So we see Evangeline being tethered to the tree and all of that, and yet she's still so forgiving that she's like, yeah, hopefully someday someone will release him. And I'm like, girl, no. Absolutely not. let him suffer in the tree for all eternity. What are you talking about? He was going to do that to you. That was the only thing that I was like, I'm glad that wasn't the ending that I had in my book. The ending I had in my book was just them being like, well, that was a lot, wasn't it? And then going home. I'm here for it. I'm not gonna lie. That was a fantastic ending. I got the best ending in this book. I am not gonna lie. Because another one that I read is that like they set up like an inn and they're living happily ever after. But this, like, the ending was just like, I have a question. And he's like, okay. And then she asks him a question. He's like, I didn't say I'd answer it. And then that's it. And then go home. And it's like, here for it. Love it. Evangeline was a fantastic character to follow. I really love the world building. In this world, it is the world building that always sells it for me. It's completely nonsensical. And that's what's cool about it, you know? And it's so ethereal and whimsical. And I want more in this world. I would happily read more in this world. The way she left that other alternate ending, I'm wondering if she's planning on doing the story for Apollo. Because obviously Jacques is kind of the villain in, is it Legendary or is it Finale? He's kind of the villain in one of the two latter Caraval books. And then he gets his own love story. So I'm wondering if we're going to have that with Apollo, if he's going to have like his redemption arc and his own love story. Again, he don't deserve one. Jax didn't deserve one either. He got one anyway and I freaking loved it. So who knows? But I would definitely read more in this world. I'm not going to lie. I'm just having a great time with them. They are 3 stars. They are not new favorites. They are in the heat of the moment. I'm having a great time because I need minus numbers of brain cells. I do not need to think about a thing. I'm just going with the ride. I am more critical of books that are more my thing than I am of books that I know are not intended for me anymore. And I'm just here to have a fun time. And that's exactly what these gave me. So that's the end of this vlog. So we have a full 3-star series. So not like fantastic new favorite. The One Dark Window, what's that series called? The Shepherd King series. Arguably the first book I rated higher than this because I liked the magic system. But it's one of those that like with hindsight, I haven't taken much away from it, especially because I really disliked the second book. I think it got 2 stars. So that's kind of like a 3-star series overall, but I don't feel as like happy about it coming away from it. I really liked elements of the start of the first one. And I was really curious about like the nightmare in her head and all of that. So I was excited about where that was going to go and then it fizzled out. While with this one, it's kind of the opposite. It's like there are so many things I should have hated in here, but that didn't actually bother me as much as they should. And then I just had a fun time with it. So they're kind of like almost sister vlogs, these two, but I really enjoyed this and I am looking forward to reading more by Stephanie Garber. I know she's got an adult series out. I'm definitely going to be reading that. I am having a good time with her writing. So let me know if you've read the series or the Caraval series and any thoughts that you might have on it, or let me know if based on my liking of these, if you have any other recommendations. It was just so addictive. I always find Stephanie Garber really addictive. But yeah, that is all from me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching and I'll hopefully catch you in another one soon.